Good morning, everybody. I'm making my second video. My sister is home today. She's not well, which means that I feel even more scared than I did making the last one. But I saw that I had like, I think 9 subscribers when I looked last time, and I was like, oh man, people have actually subscribed. They're watching. Um, so if that was you, thank you. It's really exciting. This video might be a little bit delayed going up because I've actually forgotten how to log into my own YouTube channel, which is a bit of a setback, but I'll figure it out. I'll get it up eventually. So to the people that watched the last one and that subscribed to the last one, like it's so exciting. It's been lovely to hear your like comments, kind of saying, oh, like that was so relatable, or I feel like that as well. Um, like that's hard, but it's been really like nice at the same time. So for anybody that didn't watch the last one, I was just mainly talking about how I've started this in like a time of feeling a lot in limbo, and just as like a productive use of my time and energy, rather than sitting around worrying about like what I'm going to do next or whatever, just to look back on the last couple of years and all the things I learned. I mentioned I did 3 things during that time that I thought that I would never do, being I became a flight attendant, I did a master's degree, and I did counselling. And all those 3 things are things that I thought that I would never ever do. But from doing them, I learned a lot of things that I think will be really helpful for me just to capture the skills that I learned that enabled me to get through those things. So, first of all, today, one conversation I had in the last few days was with a friend, and it was along the veins of like, I feel exactly like you, and she's 26 like me, and single, and, just in limbo, just a similar situation all round. And she mentioned that a few weeks ago when she'd been in like a pretty stressed out state, she'd read this book, and found it really, really, really helpful. So the book is, I'll see if I can get it up here. I haven't read it at all. It's called, it says How to Be Single and Happy. And I'd never heard of that author, but I love reading. So hopefully I will be able to read it. But I think probably what I'm hoping is that really what this book will be, um, is just a book about being in limbo. I think that, it's quite common, like being single is a time of huge limbo. And I think a lot of people, I know I'm inclined to do this, think about like, well, one day when I meet someone, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do that. But I think that it's not just something that single people have. Like I know it might be, you're just waiting to get into a better job and earn more, and you'll do this and this and that. And that's limbo. Or maybe you're waiting to get to your goal weight before you do this, that, and the other. And so I'm hoping that that book will have just like really practical stuff in there, about, how to get through that limbo stage. So yeah, again, have not read that at all, but I think like I'm looking forward to reading it, and it sounds like it will have some really relevant, like current helpful things for like navigating mentally that situation where you don't know what you're doing. Um, I think that, and that sort of leads into the first thing that I guess that I was going to talk about, which is about, I guess, kind of goal setting, which is a sticky subject for me, which, would probably be better talked about even in another video that itself. But I think that when I was little, or, say 13, and you have to do goal setting at school, my goal setting would always be like, okay, at 25, I want to be married and have a kid. And I think there's like nothing wrong with that. 13-year-old me was doing fine. But the problem with setting a goal like that is it's basically setting a goal for something that you actually have really no control over at all. And so what I have found, one of the things that really helped me the last few years is looking at like instead what what I can control, and trying to plan for that. I think I was causing myself a lot of stress through a lack of planning of my life. And, you know, I really believe in the take one day at a time thing. I think that's really important. But I think that for me, if I have to put in preparation first to enable myself to be able to take the one day at a time. Otherwise, it can get to very much like you take one day at a time and you take another day at a time and you kind of wait for something to happen. And before you know it, a week's gone and you're like, oh, I kind of didn't do anything. And then that can make you stressed as well. So, um, one of the single biggest things that made a big difference for me was this, which is an old paper calendar. I've had this for like the last 3 years now, and it was something that really, really, really helped to reduce my stress. And the reason that is because for the first time when I became a flight attendant, I got a monthly roster. So before that, I would get a roster only every week. And, I think if that's you at the moment, or even if you don't work at all at the moment, like don't underestimate how hard that is on your mental health, on your social life, not being able to plan ahead like that. I think that after I got a job where I had a month roster, I was like, wow, this is so, so helpful. And to help me juggle like doing that and doing uni, I found that if I took some time out before the new month, because planning is really stressful for me. I don't know why. I don't like to make plans. I think it's because I just feel like, oh no, I shouldn't plan anything. You kind of look at the future, and for me, you kind of imagine that it's never going to come, which sounds so messed up. But I think I'm kind of like, oh no, like I'm not even going to think about that. I don't want it to be June yet. I'm still not ready for it to be like May or whatever. And then if you leave the planning later and later, it gets more stressful and more stressful. So I found that if I used like the last weekend of a month to plot in like I'll show you, this is from February. This is all my I know that's like super hard to see. I would plot in like, again, the light's really bad, but there's like blue there for my work shift, and then there's like a dark grey black kind of color, which was all my uni stuff. That's not really working. I'll try this, see if this works any better. Yeah, so this was kind of my February month, and I'll do this the last weekend in January, because at that point February is still sort of like a little bit further away, and you don't have to stress quite as much. You've got still some time, and I'll just sort of make a time for myself and just color in all the things that I knew I had to do in that month. And like, I'm very visual, so it really helped me to see it all. And then you can see where the gaps are. And if there are big gaps, I found like it's great to plan something, like plan a catch up with friends or plan a weekend away, and use those gaps, because much as like I'm all for, being spontaneous and waiting for something to come up. And that really does happen sometimes. But more often than not, if I had a blank time and I was too stressed to make a plan for it, I found that often it would arrive, and I would just like spend the weekend like on my phone, or um, doing not much, just because I wasn't well prepared for it. And then it will go by and I'll be like, oh, I didn't do anything. Whereas if you've got a plan in place, then you've got time to look for it and mentally prepare, and then you can do it. And I know it sounds like ridiculously small, but it was really, really, really helpful for me. And I've kept doing that. And like I said, like, this is as much for my benefit, because I often still don't do this, but I really notice the difference if I've prepared ahead and I've blocked out my month before the month starts, or if I've left it and I'm a week in and I haven't done that yet, I'll already feel like stress, 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 stress. Um, so it's a way of kind of, I think that preparation helps me. And I love the fact that it's paper. Like, I love the colors, I love the texture of the paper. I know a lot of people have calendars in their phones, and I've been laughed at a lot for my paper calendar. But it can be really lovely if you set, like, an hour in the afternoon. You can have a candle or a cup of tea, or like play folklore, or How to Train Your Dragon or something, and just really sit and look at it all. And what are the things have that I have to get done? What are the things, like, where do I have some gaps here? And how do I want to use those gaps and actually kind of be brave and make a plan for those gaps? And I guess that for me has it's so simple. And a lot of the things that I feel like I've learned that have helped me are just so bleedingly simple that it feels embarrassing to even say it. But I wasn't doing it before, and when I did start doing it, it did help. So that is the first thing that I learned to do that helped me to tackle lots of different things going on. And I think that process, even of coloring, like, I bought some crayons for myself, colored it in, and coloring is soothing for me. Just having that time to put yourself in a space where you're preparing for the month ahead, I found that helped me feel a lot less stressed. So I don't know. That's what I have for today. I've not got a lot of time to put into, thinking of things and all that on this particular morning. But I was like, if you don't do something else, you're going to get too scared and you'll do nothing else. So that's that. And, hopefully I'll have to, I think, break down the different features of that. That would be, there's a lot going on within that page that even I shared there. But it is, if I'm thinking about what has made a very big difference to my sanity over the last few years, that is a small thing that has made a very big difference. It's just, surprisingly, I'll never understand why it's so hard to put the hour aside and do it at the beginning of each month, but it's so worth it. And putting things like that, doing something like that at the start of the month, if you've planned, you can then start to take just one day at a time, because you've put the necessary preparation in place. And you can do that while still being sort of like on track, and not just having days go by and by and by and by. Um, I don't know if that makes sense. Um, yes, anyway, that's what I have. Thank you very much once again, anybody that's watched the first one and watched this one. Thank you. Hope you're having a lovely day as well. And yeah, we'll see. I might post something again soon, hopefully. But yes, sending out lots of love. Thank you.